You should have brought more tanks with you.
To see anything new come from Valve outside of a Steam update has been something many people including myself have wanted for a very long time. Almost every single franchise that Valve owns has a die-hard fanbase behind it and everyone wants to see something new from them, and for a long time it seemed that Valve had fully given up with most of the games after focusing so much on Dota and then releasing the disaster known as Artifact. But after a somewhat bold release of the VR exclusive Half-Life Alyx, it seems that Valve finally got back into the game development scene. But while Half-Life Alyx was a roaring success and a great game mind you, what was next? They hadn't really said anything publicly, so what did Valve have in store next? It was Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead 2 actually got an update. The Last Stand update is a collaborative update between Valve and several modders from the Left 4 Dead community, with the end goal being to bring some new content to the table alongside a ton of bug fixes and quality of life improvements. It's really unexpected to see when you consider this game is almost 11 years old now and hasn't really seen an update in about 8 years, but it's a welcome addition nonetheless. What's important to mention here is that while Valve did work on this update in certain areas, the new content you see in this update was pretty much driven by the community. This wasn't the first community collaboration for Left 4 Dead, as back in 2011 Valve actually announced they were releasing a new DLC which would bring the remaining original campaigns into Left 4 Dead 2, but alongside that a new campaign would be added into the official roster for both PC and Xbox 360, and that would be the campaign known as Coldstream. And Coldstream was worked on by the modder who made Two Evil Eyes, Matthew Laudelay? Apologies if I got that wrong, and if you were to compare Coldstream to The Last Stand, it could be considered underwhelming as The Last Stand is pretty short. It only has 2 levels, and I'll admit when I first saw it was only 2 levels, I was a little bit disappointed, but after playing it several times for a short campaign, it's actually pretty good. It's similar to the campaign Crash Course, but a lot better in my eyes. The objectives have a little bit more depth to them, and the campaign can last roughly 20 minutes to half an hour. I feel like the reason this is a short campaign is because the finale was already set in stone, and with the story already set in place, it was quite restrictive. The Last Stand was originally just a one-off level that was introduced in the original Left 4 Dead with the survival update. The premise was survivors took an alternative route in one of the campaigns, which I personally believe to be Death Toll, and upon arriving to the lighthouse, they turn on the generator to signal for help, but help never comes. As the campaign poster states, it doesn't end well. Obviously, since there's a campaign now, it does mean that this actually has an ending, but that doesn't mean the ending is going to be straightforward. The ending takes notes from Crash Course, where the generator goes out mid-finale, but instead of it just being you restart the generator, you have to find several gas cans to get it running again. While I'm not a fan of gas can finales, it was quite a surprise because I wasn't really expecting it. Overall, I do wish this had 3 levels at least, since I was expecting that originally, but for what it is, I had fun with it. Alongside the new campaign though, we've received a ton of additional survival maps alongside some new maps for the Scavenge game mode. A game mode I can't recall the last time I ever played, but you know, for people who actually like Scavenge, it's better for them I guess. These new maps weren't the only addition to the game however in this update, as they also introduced 2 new melee weapons being the shovel and the pitchfork, and then finally all the Counter-Strike weapons that were originally added for the censored version in Germany have now been put into the official rotation, meaning that you'll see these weapons in every single campaign and they're fully usable. The new melee weapons are a fine addition to the game honestly, as they actually feel different for a change, but the Counter-Strike weapons I'm a little 50-50 with. They've always been accessible in the game via using console commands, but the animations and the view models always looked a bit out of place. And thankfully while they did fix the view models so they look less broken, they still look out of place. I'm surprised they didn't update them with the Counter-Strike Global Offensive models, but hey, it's more weapons for the roster, and more variety is never a bad thing. And hopefully these weapons will get more replacements via mods in the workshop over time, which if you don't like them already, I'd highly recommend you look into the workshop anyway because there's already a few mods out there. Alongside these weapons getting some tune-ups, all the animations for the original weapons have been improved as well. A few have had repositioned view models, the Scar's bolt no longer clips into the gun, and the Left 4 Dead 1 survivors finally hold weapons properly instead of their hands clipping into the grips. And after 11 years, the pistols finally have walking animations. I genuinely cannot stress enough how happy that makes me to see them finally have movement animations. It's such a small addition to the game, but it's easily one of my favourites. They could have got bonus points if they fixed the pistol sounds being the wrong way around when you're holding 2 pistols, but one miracle at a time.
Is this some kind of sick joke?
Valve, it's been 11 years, how have you not fixed this? Funnily enough, there is actually a mod that fixes this with a weird workaround, and I'd highly suggest subscribing to it. Overall, the Last Stand update is mostly just a major hotfix with a few quality of life improvements, like having the original common and special infected in the Left 4 Dead 1 campaigns, or finally having the Golf Club and M60 appear in campaigns outside of the passing. The campaign we got as well was actually pretty good, and I'm happy to have more survival maps to play around with, and to see some old bugs finally get squashed is great. I like to believe that Valve greenlit this update to see if it was worth bringing new content to this game, or to see if a third entry in this series is still a viable option. And personally, I believe the overall reception of this has shown that while the changes are not everyone's cup of tea, people still really care about Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead is one of my all-time classics, and I'm just happy to see that Valve acknowledged the series again after all this time. And who knows, maybe this update will spark new life into the modding community with new rebalances, weapon mods, and possibly some new custom campaigns down the line. You know, I said before that I always wanted to make a custom campaign for Left 4 Dead. I just never got round to it. Maybe the Last Stand update is the push I needed. Also, did you see that some idiot made a survival map based on Hunt Down the Freeman? I mean, that's weird enough, but like, why wouldn't you just make a campaign instead?